Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Esoteric Atlanta. I'm here co-hosting with my friend Paula from, I'm saying right, Empowered Spirits.
Healing, yeah,
healing. I was about to say Empowered Spirit Yoga. You can tell it's early, guys. It's 6 a.m. for me. So I was like, no, it's not yoga. So I'm going to have Paula's channel down in the description box below, and it's Mercury retrograde. So if our words get a little tongue-tied, that is why.
That's our excuse for everything.
Oh, even when it's not Mercury retrograde, it's my excuse when I get tongue-tied. I'm like, Mercury's at it again. But as you guys know, Paula is also my friend and my partner over on the Esoteric Academy, and we just loaded up a brand new course, which we're going to kind of talk about that course today in relationship to kind of what's going on in the world with the Great Awakening and kind of how this course relates to that and different conspiracies around the chakra system and our own human evolution and spiritual evolution and consciousness and all that good stuff. Anything you want to add to that, Paula, before we get into it?
No, that's great. Did you want me to show the page?
Sure, absolutely. Let me let you share screen here. So while she's pulling it up, guys, we just opened up a course based on the teachings of Desikachar. And Desikachar, for those who do not know who Desikachar was, he did pass away in 2016 at a very old age. He was the son of Krishnamacharya. And I'll get a little bit into Krishnamacharya in a minute, but he has this great, it's a book that's really written for teachers. And what I did is I took some of the stuff from this book and I put it into a program for our students at the Esoteric Academy to help them understand the alchemy of practice and the alchemy of a spiritual practice. And what I do and kind of deeper concepts of like when I'm creating a program to awaken you spiritually. And so I'm really excited about this course. It's a longer course. There's many different sections. I don't know if there's anything you want to add, Paula.
Yeah, so we've just got the just a bit about the course here, and then all the classes are here. Oh, I've still got it as soon, so I'll have to change that in the settings. What's all these beginning bits here, Bryce?
How you're like basically the spiritual implications, like what's happening spiritually in your body when you do exercise, basically. And the different variations of that and the breath flow. And basically it goes into more detail of what I have been talking about on my channel for a long time now. And again, that's the whole reason why I really wanted to tackle this course is because on the side of light, we don't gatekeep knowledge. We share knowledge. And so I wanted to put this out for people so that they would have a better understanding of how I've set up the exercise classes of their own body when they go for a run or go take an exercise class at a gym or a yoga class, like, so they have a better understanding. And I think when you have more understanding of what's going on, not just biologically and anatomically, but spiritually, you're able to drop deeper into what you're doing with greater purpose. And you also have more of a respect for what you're doing. And it will help shift your perspective of exercise, of being something that's hard and uncomfortable and done to make you look good in a pair of skinny jeans versus something that's actually awakening you spiritually and healing you. It gives you more substance to your own experience.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I was looking through all of this when I was putting it up, and it looks amazing. And I'm actually really excited to watch it myself. And then you've got some. I thought, the chanting that will be really cool too.
Yeah, the chanting of the Yoga Sutras. So we briefly go through the Yoga Sutras. I know we want to do a deeper dive into the Yoga Sutras, guys. Yeah. But I briefly went into it here with some of Desikachar's commentary. Only did the commentary for the first and second pada because the third and fourth pada deal more with like kind of the woo-woo stuff, like the siddhis. And so they're supposed to only be studied after you've had at least 10 years of consecutive study. But I did put them up, but I just went through the sutras. I didn't give commentary. But the first and the second one do have commentary because those are the ones that are more applicable to most people. It's like, what is yoga? What is exercise? What is this? What's going on with your mind? And so I feel like that the first and the second pada are really the two padas that most people use on a daily basis, where the third and fourth pada put in the wrong hands can be dangerous spiritually if it's put in the wrong hands. And they talk about that. They give warnings about that. But so that's why teachers won't teach third and fourth pada a lot. But when you order a copy of the Yoga Sutras from wherever you order them, many different commentaries, you're always going to get the third and fourth pada. They don't hide it, because on the side of light, we don't hide stuff. But it's just not advised that you study it. You have to be respectful to what Patanjali is actually speaking about. Like the fourth pada is basically a warning against black magic.
Ooh. Interesting.
Yeah. So that's why a lot of teachers just will not go there with students, because they don't want to carry that responsibility.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah. And it's like Todd kind of in his interviews with you over on the Academy, he talked about like the siddhis and this powers of manifestation, and when manifestation becomes a negative, when it can be used for the negative, when you're manifesting too much for yourself, that's just greedy and it's taking from somebody else at that point. And they kind of get into that too. Like you have to really go through the stages of working on yourself before you're introduced to these kind of magical powers, so that you're not going to abuse, so that you're going to have more discernment, more healing within yourself, so that you're not going to abuse everything that you learn does that make sense? Like everything you've learned in
absolutely. And I really think that if this kind of information was included in the movie The Secret, and this big crazy craze that happened with the law of attraction, I mean, even I got caught up in it for a while. I think that was missing so much. They just took one little part of a much bigger picture. I mean, at least with the whole laws of the universe, there's quite a lot of laws of the universe. There's not just the law of attraction and the law of gravity, or, there's a lot. There's at least 12 to 15 that I'm aware of. And then there's other ones that, we're still discovering. So I think what happens is, in this modern day and age, for marketing reasons and for money reasons, we are basically, they catch on to one little thing and then they make a craze about it and everybody goes crazy for it. But you're missing all of the important stuff. And, like at least with the traditional yoga, you're learning the whole part of it, all the history behind it and how it all works together as a whole, not just one little part. It's like how everything affects. The whole, I'm not
it goes, and I will say a lot of, and my computer just froze again, so I'm sorry if you see me looking weird, you guys. I'm going to say Lizzies. I'm just going to call you what the Cassiopeians call you. You Lizzies, no consent, no bueno. Like, you got to go. You're not welcome here to mess with this technology. I asked for all of our protectors of higher realms. I'm actually going to call them the Cassiopeians, because Cassiopeians and I have been spending a lot of time together. If you've been on my channel. So, can y'all come in and like just shield mine and Paula's equipment just for a second, so we can get out the messages that you want out to help humanity at this time, to be in service to humanity. And that's the thing, Paula, though, I think is, on the third level, the third density level, any concept that's going to appeal to somebody's weaknesses, like fear of not having enough or their ego issues, is obviously going to sell well. That's why like plastic surgery sells well, because it feeds on our insecurities. And I think that's kind of what happened with like The Secret. And I don't actually know a lot of people in the spiritual world that really even give The Secret a second thought, because I think what happens too is that, and the Cassiopeians do talk about this, it's like when you are constantly trying to accumulate all this material wealth, then you're obviously kind of feeling a void within yourself that can't be filled by materialistic wealth. Now, with that being said, being wealthy is not a bad thing. I want to be very, very clear about that. Like, money is just an energy exchange. That's all it is. It's what you do with it that matters. So if you're somebody who's look at Trump. If you got a yacht and hotel chains, but you're using that for good, who cares? It doesn't, being rich doesn't make you a better person or a worse person. It's just karma. That's all it is. It's just your lessons for this life. But when it comes to like abundance, and I think this is what happens, because this is kind of, I know Todd kind of talked to you about it, and he's way better at paraphrasing these teachings than I am. When you're just sitting there looking at your vision board with like a yacht and a mansion and a Jaguar, and you're trying to envision having this stuff, there's nothing wrong with having that stuff. However, if you're not actually putting in the labor to also receive that, then there's not an energy exchange happening. And when there's no energy exchange happening, then you are stealing from somebody else has to lose out on that so that you can take. Yeah, so that puts you into the service to self category. Now, if you are envisioning a yacht and a mansion and Jaguar, but you're working your ass off also, then there's an equal energy exchange there. Yeah? So, or if you inherit it from your parents, somebody worked their ass off. So there was an equal energy exchange given to you. Now, the funny thing too, and I don't know if I said this on one of our shows on the Esoteric Academy or on my own show, so I apologize if this is a repeat, but I feel like the more you invested you become into a spiritual practice, the least material, did we talk about this before? The least materialistic you get, you stop finding value in like materialistic things?
Yeah. I definitely find that too. I mean, you know, a few years ago, I did really, you know, definitely wanted, you know, the nice house and the nice car and all of that kind of stuff. And I don't know, it's just less important to me now. Like, I mean, of course, I still have a nice house and a nice car that I live in and drive, but it's not, I don't really care about brand name stuff, and I don't have big extravagant things. Like my house is, well, I mean, I've got 3 daughters, so it's got to be big enough for them, but it's not a big house, and I like that it's not big, because the bigger it is, the more I have to clean.
It doesn't define you. It doesn't become like, look at Mr. T, will say like he's very wealthy, but it doesn't really define him. He's still going to do his karma, you know? So again, being wealthy is there's not a problem to be wealthy. My teacher was one of the wealthiest men in South India, and guess what? He only had 2 pairs of yoga pants that he rotated between.
But you know, another note is having so much stuff is actually energetically really toxic, because think about it. I mean, everything has energy. So if you're holding on to stuff that people have given you because you feel guilty if you throw it out because they've gifted it to you, then that's not going to be good energy in your home. And if you've got stuff in your home that you look around your home and you're like, oh, I hate this, there's a mess there, there's, you know, chaos everywhere, that's not good energy. And when you decluttering is, I love decluttering. I mean, I need to do it a bit more, but especially having kids, but even not having kids, it's amazing how much you can just accumulate over a short period of time. So that's why, like, you know, every 6 months at least is a good idea to do a spring clean of your house, your wardrobe, anything like that, because even your car, your handbag, you know, anything like that, because and like your food as well, your pantry, because stuff gets old and it's sitting at the back of the pantry. And it's just, I feel like whenever I've done a spring clean, I feel like I have more abundance come in. I've actually seen this happen. It's been crazy, but also you just feel so much better. You feel organized, you feel lighter. Like, I feel like it's so much happens on so many levels when you do declutter and simplify your life. Life is easier. Like, I did that, for example, for Scarlett, because she's 6. So, yeah, she's got a lot of toys. But I spring cleaned her room, and then her room is so much easier and easier to keep clean now. She's got toys that she's actually playing with. Millie's come to say hello. And it's so great, because like, she enjoys her room more now because it's set up nicely and there's less stuff in there. So she actually knows what to play with. Oh, Millie, don't move my computer. She's rubbing her head against it.
She just had to put her 2 cents into too.
No, she's like, clean out the garage, Mum, because that's her favorite place to hang out, is the garage. And it really, really needs a clean.
That's one thing my boyfriend and I have in common. We are not pack rats, so we get rid of stuff a lot. He has more art supplies, obviously, because he does that takes up space. But yeah, it keeps, your home is your temple. And that kind of leads us into the topic of like what we're good, because think about decluttering your house. Now think about your body, you know, and the mental, you know, and that kind of goes into it. And so I kind of I was telling you, Paula, I've been here, and thank you guys so much for the positive response. I've been going through the Cassiopean readings, transcripts for starting back in the 90s, which are a trip to go through, you guys. So if you haven't checked those out, they were calling out the Denver airport before the Denver airport was even open. So it's wild. But one thing I told Paula, I was like, before we signed on, I went through and typed in the keyword chakras, and there was so much that came up. So I was just skimming through the chakra system. And why I'm talking about this, because we do kind of speak about this in this upcoming course. But I wanted to say something in case we have any new viewers, or sometimes repetition is the key. Paula, we sit here and now the chakras are, well, they're energy points in the body. And this is something that's very ancient. Like our ancestors collectively around the world understood that we had these energy points in our bodies that carried specific information that was kind of this. You can't see them on like an MRI. They're not an organ, but they're an energetic organ, let's say. And that's kind of what the Cassiopeians refer to them as like an energetic organ. And therefore organs need vital life force in order to function. So we have this, like, in this modern spiritual world, and I think this is done intentionally. This is my own conspiracy theory, my aluminum hat moment. As human beings in these bodies, we're designed to move. That's why we have muscles. And so they couldn't take movement away from us. They couldn't do that because that just is not, that's like telling a dog not to bark, right? Like, yeah, we're gonna move. Like when you sit down for a long time, it feels good to stand up and like walk around. Like it feels, we want that. We crave that as humans. And so I think what they've done is that they have moved cleverly. They took spirituality and they removed the foundation of spirituality, which is movement. Mm-hmm. On top of that, they took movement and they turned it into something that was a punishment. Like going to the gym, they're going to hang this carrot like, oh, it's good for you, it's healthy. But also, don't you want to look good in those skinny jeans?
Yeah. So people work out to the point of punishing themselves
to
be ridiculously and unrealistically thin. Basically. It becomes
abuse. You could have somebody on the treadmill that's running for spiritual purposes and someone next to them on the treadmill running to punish themselves. They could do the same number of miles, be the same weight, same height, and just same biochemic makeup, same dosha. And because this person is doing it for spiritual reasons, they're going to have an extremely positive reaction in their body. This person's body is going to hurt.
Yeah. And I know because I've done it.
Same.
When I was younger. Mm-hmm.
It's the thought, because the thoughts create the yoga chitta vritti nirodha, how the thoughts create the consciousness of the body. Mm-hmm. Now, with that being said, when we talk about the chakra system, so we're coming into 2025, and I think this has been happening for decades now, where we have these spiritual teachers who are now programmed intentionally to think that exercise is something only vain people do for punishment. But yet they're trying to heal people's chakras. How are you going to activate anything? How can you? An organ can't work unless there's vitality in the organ, right? Unless there's like life force flowing through the organ. If your liver is going to malfunction if it's being overused with alcohol or whatever, the detox organ, but if you're not actually working on that organ to keep it cleansed, we know this about our actual organs. Like if you're constipated. When you get constipated, it's basically stuck poo, right? Yeah. Stuck, right? And so you feel it. It affects your overall health. And actually, this is a really good example. So let's use constipation as an example, as a metaphor for the chakras. When it's stuck and it's not moving, there's no movement. With the colon, so many things happen. First of all, the blood, the lymphatic system cannot bring toxins into the colon because there's no room. So it sends the toxins back into your body through your blood system. So that's why people, when they get constipated, like their eyes start to get baggy or dark, their skin looks sick, they might look tired, they get headaches. It's because the body is shutting down because the colon is stuck. That's why constipation can be a very serious issue. It's not taken care of.
Yes, it can be very dangerous. I think, like, usually if you go for like more than a week or so without going to the toilet, then you need to go to hospital. And you got to get it cleaned out.
They've had to sometimes surgically remove. So it's very serious, and we know that though because we have an immediate. When people are constipated, they have an immediate physical reaction. Their body starts to tell them they're bloated. And so they do things like take X-Lax or, I take certain herbs or do a castor oil pack on their stomach. There's so many things to do to get it to start to move again. These are actions taken to relieve a stuck organ. So when we have the chakras, if we keep that in mind with the chakra system, we can sit around here. Paul and I could spend all day. We could do 7-hour workshops, taking 7 hours to break down each and every chakra, their function, what they do, but none of that is going to matter at all if there's no movement in the chakras, right? Like, we can sit here and talk about how healthy it is for the body to actually go to the bathroom, but talking about going to the bathroom is not going to relieve somebody's constipation. There has to be action taken. And so the action that is taken with the chakras is being in the physical body. And so I'm going to kind of paraphrase over all the readings of the chakras that I had with the Cassiopeians, because they talk about it a lot, you guys, is that chakras, even though they're energetic in nature, they are activated in the density. So what does that mean? The density is the body. Yeah, it's not a dimension thing. Even though we have chakras in different dimensions and whatever as well, right now they are activated in the density. And they call the chakra system like an elevator system. So like if you are hoping to get to fourth density positive, you have to ride the elevator up. So you got to start at the bottom of the chakra system and start working on that now, so that when you get up, there's already a rise happening. And different, we talk about this in the Alchemy of Movement, which is a workshop, a course on our platform too. I talk about different exercises like running, swimming, yoga, dance, have different chemical reactions in the body, atomically and with the chakras. And so depending on where you're stuck or where you're imbalanced, that's the exercise you pick for that day to create that balance. One thing that the Cassiopeians did say that I thought was really interesting, we have a basic idea of where our chakras are, but it's not the same location for every person.
Ooh. And I've also heard that we've got a rough idea of the color, but also the color is different for everybody too.
The Cassiopeians actually said that too.
Oh, really? Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think it depends on what's going on. And then obviously if you're not vital, then your color is not going to be as vibrant as it should be and clear. Whereas if you are feeling really healthy and feeling great, then it's going to be nice and clear and bright and spinning really well. Yeah.
Now, with that being said, like, you can get a lot of benefit from going to like a Reiki practitioner and having Reiki done on your body.
Absolutely.
But that's benefit, but it's only benefit. It's like icing on the cake. So if your cake is you actually taking the responsibility, moving your body, getting in your body, and then the icing on the cake is having that healer come and scan as well, right? And part of that too, Paula, is because the healer is not going to actually know, like, let's say we think Manipur, the third chakra, is right there in your solar plexus, and that's like your battery pack. That's they call that the battery pack, the Cassiopeians of your body. So we think it's like right here in your solar plexus, but mine could actually be over here or down right here. I don't even know exactly where it's located, and they do move sometimes. So if I don't even know, and I'm pretty in my body, how is a Reiki healer supposed to know exactly where that chakra is? So they're just in the vicinity of the area. Yeah,
you just kind of go to where you feel that it is. Oh, hello, Millie.
so that's why, again, it's important to get in your body, so that your body, because your body knows where it is. Your subtle body knows where they are. So it can bring, and they were like, you got to get, and again, I want to reiterate, because people, they go to extremes in our 2025. I'm not talking about you having to be an Olympic athlete. That's not what we're talking about. Just get your blood pumping. Go for a 30-minute walk. Right? Get some oxygen, get the blood, the vital, or the blood. And they talk about this in another course, Health, Healing, and Beyond. We were taught, Paula, as kids, that the heart pumps the lungs. Ayurvedic medicine teaches that the lungs pump the heart, that the heart is a valve. Well, now in Western medicine, they're starting to acknowledge, whoops, we were wrong. The heart doesn't pump the lungs, it's the lungs that pump the heart.
That kind of makes more logical sense, doesn't it?
Yep.
For me, I mean, just thinking about the lungs and where they are, and the fact that there's two of them and they're both working, and then if our heart's actually in the middle, whereas we grew up thinking that it was on the left.
On the left. Yeah.
And so it's like,
I don't know if that's a Mandela effect or what.
I know, that was so bizarre. I know, I remember, like, I was tripping. I go to my girls, I'm like, where do you think your heart is? And they're like, here. And I'm like, I got taught that it was
the Pledge of Allegiance like this.
Yeah.
No, I do the Pledge of Allegiance, but it's here. Yeah. But it's that those lungs, when we think about that too, with like oxygen and blood, like, so blood, we know a lot about blood now. And even the Cassiopeians say bloodlines are important in the sense that it gives you your karmic understanding.
Yeah.
All bloodlines are equal in value spiritually, but depending on what blood type you have,
there's different types of personalities and things like that with them, isn't there?
Yeah, which is kind of the conclusion I came to after doing all my research, because I don't believe that there are, and I got into my bloodline research with like the RH negative, because I'm RH negative, and the weird stuff that happens to us RH negatives. But then I was like, I really, it really kind of, I would kind of push back when some people would say like, oh, RH negatives are special or different. I'm like, no, 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 that's not what I believe. I don't believe that there are special people. I think we're all special, equally special, right? That's to me to believe that there's some blood types are better than others. That's to me, that's bigoted. That's so different than saying some races are better than, like, that's ridiculous. Yeah. It's ridiculous.
It's just a different type. Yeah.
It's a different karma. That's all it is. It's just a different karma. And in every life, people ask me, are we the same blood type in every life? No, absolutely not. Because the blood is a part of the nature. It's not permanent. It's a part of your nature. And whatever your soul decided it needed to learn in this life to refine itself, that's what karma is. It's just lessons, guys. It's just lessons to refine your soul. It's your work. It picked whatever biological resistance or work would come with whatever blood type. You know, like I laugh because my boyfriend is A negative, I'm O negative. O negatives, we're known to like have abundance of energy. Like we just go to the point sometimes where it backfires and we get burnout. Well, A's on the other hand, like my boyfriend, tend to be a little bit more on the lazier side. They like to sleep. So my boyfriend and I kind of challenge each other that way. Like where he wants to go take a nap, I'm like, no, well, let's go on a WALK. I can't say the word because he knows that word. Yeah. Let it up. So and then he's the one that, you know, you need to calm down. Like, so there's what every aspect of nature gives us. Like for me with my O negative, that energy serves me, but it also backfires too. There's positives and negatives with both, and you have to find that balance, right? Same with the chakras, right? You can have too much energy in one chakra and not enough. And and with the heart, so the Anahata, the heart chakra that's there, that's the chakra that marries the physical with the spiritual.
The lower ones with the higher ones. Yeah.
And so the oxygen, pranayama, the breath, that's kind of the thread. The breath is the thread that also weaves the spirit with the physical. And the heart, the blood is the manifestation, the physical manifestation of life force. It's not the actual spiritual life force, but it's the Shakti of life force. So that makes sense that the oxygen and the blood would work together in the body. You hear what noises? Robbie is snoring right now, you guys. So I promise that's not
That's so funny.
He's snoring right now.
Yeah, so with the whole chakras thing, I think the way I like to look at it now is it's kind of like, you know, with your body, you want to try and eat as well as you can most of the time, and you also want exercise. You need to do both. You kind of can't really just do one or the other and expect great results. And so I kind of feel like it's the same with the chakras. You want to be exercising, and as well as doing, you know, you can do different visualizations and stuff like that to clear out the chakras, because just being around people, just our everyday life, you know, we pick up so much toxicity from different energies. We can get negative attachments attaching to us. We can absorb other people's negative thoughts and things like that. So all of that stuff can get into our chakras and into our aura, and it can just really clog it up and make it dirty and make them stuck. And so I do feel like doing visualizations and meditations to help clear the chakras, to get them moving really, really well. So if you've heard of Alberto Velodo, how do you say his name? He talks a lot about shamanism, and when he talks about clearing the chakras, he actually explains about how visualizing them in a anti-clockwise direction to clear out all the dirt, and then once the dirt's been cleared out, then to move it in a clockwise direction, which I think is very, very fascinating. So I actually created one of my first meditations I did on my YouTube channel was a chakra meditation for the 7 main chakras. I would like to create another one for the 12 chakras, but in the 7 main chakras, I use Alberto's approach with going anti-clockwise first to remove all the dirt, and then going clockwise to get it all nice and clear and spinning again. So for anybody sometimes it can be hard to focus on each of your chakras and to go through that process because it's a little bit time consuming. So if anybody wants to listen to that, it's just on my YouTube channel and you can just listen to it. It can kind of guide you through. But since I've been working with you, Bryce, and just understanding how important it is to get your body moving, because before we started really working together, I was mainly doing exercise more for vain kind of reasons, because I just thought, well, I know exercise is good for me, plus also getting older, I would like my body to still be fit and healthy. I don't want to become old and frail as I get older. I want my bones to be strong. I want to be able to move and, you know, be able to do things with my children and then grandchildren, you know. I don't want to be not being able to do that. And so it's so important to exercise regularly for that. That was the main reasons why I was doing it. But then since I've been doing this academy with you and doing your classes, I'm just blown away by, like, wow, it is just so important to be exercising.
And that's the key to traditional spirituality is like you, and it's interesting talking about for the Americans, I know in other countries they call it we call it counterclockwise. So what she's saying is counterclockwise.
Oh, sorry.
No, I'm sure.
I know, like, what is she on about?
I think the Americans, I don't know, Canadians, do you guys say anti or counter? Because the Canadians and us kind of sometimes have the same words for things. So,
Okay.
But that is, in the last live class we have, guys, which is up on the Academy, we always film them, I workshopped shoulders and legs. And it's interesting what you're saying. I'm going to be putting together this weekend, actually, a full class with what we did. Because I like to do that. We do a live class where we kind of workshop stuff, and then I put it together in like a more high intensity class. So we did a lot of rotating with the shoulders and the legs, where we externally rotated the hips into the femur bone. So there's that femur bone is the thigh bone that goes, the hip socket, the joint of the hip and the joint of the shoulder are both a ball and socket. So they move like this, right? And because of that, they get stuck because energy gets stuck. So we were talking about the counterclockwise and the clockwise. When we move our legs one way and then the other way, and then neutral one way, the other way, neutral, that hip socket that connects to that base chakra, that's what you're doing, essentially, is what he's telling.
Right.
And when I have people with the circles, I do that almost every class because it works so well, where we hula hoop on the circle, pulling the stomach.
I love that one now.
I do too. I used to feel silly doing it, but I was like,
I know, I felt silly at first too.
It's just but when I started to incorporate that kind of spiral work more in my practice, there's some of that spiral work in the yoga practice too, but I took that from bar. I noticed so much changed in my lower stomach. Like my lower stomach got even more toned and stronger. Speaking of bathrooms, I was going to the bathroom more frequently. Back pain was releasing, which a lot of times back pain is caused by weak hips, with the hips connect to the lower body. So let me just stand up for a minute. So you guys can see like the lower pelvic floor region. So we have the lower pelvic floor region right here. So the hip comes up into that, and we've got the lower chakras all in this area. So this is actually connecting into that where the hip is. So people watching right now, just put your hands on your hips. And now for women, we're going to come even more down because our hips are different from a male hip. Male's hips go more up. But even with that, the way the hip, if you really feel your hip bone and the tendons, ligaments, and muscles that connect, they're connecting right on that area of that chakra. And then in this pelvic floor region, that looks like a bowl, this is where Kundalini lives too. This is the base of it, right? And so when we do, I don't know how much, we do those hip rotations, we're working into this area. And so that's why it's so it brings this physical reality and this physical experience to what we metaphysically think about. And sometimes, because the body, what yoga teaches us is that the body, the physical body, is the mind field. And when I say the mind field, I'm talking about your brain. I'm not talking about your consciousness. So the brain, each organ has a purpose. It has a biological purpose as well as an energetic purpose. The brain's main job is to keep you alive. And so it takes in information and it stores important information into the body. So every single one of us, I don't care who you are, you're going to experience stress. You're probably going to experience trauma. It doesn't matter what happened. If your body registered it as trauma, it's trauma. And it's going to store it kind of like a filing system so that later on it can recognize danger, right? Now, what happens is we kind of store it and then we forget about it and we don't do the spring cleaning, right? But when we do that spring cleaning and we go through and get that vital energy, a lot of exercise, it's also moving stuck energy. So anytime you're tight, there's something that's stuck there. And usually it's something you don't want to deal with. It's like that junk drawer that you just don't even want, or that closet you shove everything in and shut the door. And if you open it, it's all going to come falling out. So you leave it until you have to open it. So what we're doing is we're actually chiseling away. Now, the thing about it is with that energy that's stuck there, it could bring an emotional reaction. But once you breathe through that emotional reaction, you're going to be given more energy because you just alchemized it. You've turned that heavy stress into something that actually becomes part of the vital life force. So there's so much magic. I mean, it is literally like when you start to look at your body and exercise as a way to heal yourself, it also becomes this form of magic where you realize, like I said, and our awesome student, Isabella, she's one of our young ones, and she's adorable. She was talking about, because I said in one class, why are we all imagining we have wings and we can fly when our lungs are actually our wings? Like we actually have wings and those are our lungs. The more the breath we can take in, the more we can lift. And like you see it in gym where people jump. They jump on those blocks. That's flying.
Wow.
So, and she said something about running that she thought about that with the oxygen coming into the lungs and the expansion. I'm totally paraphrasing what she said, so if you're watching you can correct what you said, but I thought that's exactly it. That's what I'm trying to get people to see too, is stop disassociating, stop imagining these things, and realize that everything you're thinking about actually lies within your body, but you just have to activate it. There has to be effort put in.
Absolutely. Wow.
It's not just going to be given to you. It's like the Karate Kid, right? Wax on, wax off. Like you have to actually do work. It's Rocky. It's the Rocky movies, right? Like you have to be the eye of the tiger. You have to actually get in your body and sweat. That sweat is you being alive. Dead people don't sweat. Right? Like
it's like you can read about stuff as much as you want, but until you actually experience it physically, then it's just you don't really understand it properly, I don't think. And so much valuable lessons come from experiencing things.
Absolutely. That's wisdom. But that's the wisdom piece, right? Knowledge is taught through books, wisdom is taught through experience. And so I said too, like you said, like when you were younger, beating yourself, and I did the same thing. That's okay though, because you learned, like you have that reference.
Yeah.
Like, you know what? I know what that is like. I know how that makes me feel. And I can do the exact same exercise. Sorry, my computer froze again, guys. Lizzie.
Yeah, it's frozen.
You guys are losing this battle. I hope you know that. You can have the same exercise, but coming at it at two different perspectives is going to change the reaction in the body. And do we want to talk about the 10 chakras in the body?
Yeah, so that's very interesting because like most of us know about the 7 main chakras, and then we've been learning about, I'm just doing some Palo Santo to help with that. We've the 12 different chakras, so that kind of goes into the Earth Star chakra, which is, I think I can't remember exactly, but maybe it's like 5 to 8 inches or something below our feet, our Earth Star chakra. And then we've got another 4 above our head. But what's interesting is that there are other chakras. So we were going to compare notes because you've got your book that talks about some other chakras, and then I've got my book which talks about some other chakras. So do you want to go first?
Sure. And I want to say, I'm glad you brought that up because I want to bring up something the Cassiopeians did mention too. And we've talked about this before with organic portals. Organic portals are people who really don't have souls yet. And they have the lower chakras, but not the upper chakras. And so when the people on the board ask the Cassiopeians about like Ajna, the third eye, everybody wants to activate their third eye. Their response is work on the lower chakras, and that's going to activate the third eye. If you just focus on the third eye and you're not addressing your lower chakras, guess what? You become a feeding source for organic portals.
Oh, whoa. That's a bit scary.
Yeah. So it's like a boat. So like when you're on a boat and you want to stop the boat in the water, what do? You throw an anchor down.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the boat's just floating around. Your lower chakras are your anchors.
Yes. And so do you think that's kind of like with people, because, you know, so many people go crazy about wanting to have a Kundalini experience. But then some people go crazy from it.
You can't have a full Kundalini experience in third density.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
We're not
but I think also, especially if you've not done the proper work and the proper anchoring, then no wonder people go insane.
Most of the time, I think when people are claiming they've had one, what they've done is they've disassociated and they've created it in their mind. And a lot of times the Cassiopeians will say that, like, I love it. I love the Cassiopeians. They can be a little snarky too. They just say it like it is. And so many times, especially in the 90s, they'll get on the board and they'll like, one of the readers will have like a physical issue going on. They'll be like, was I spiritually attacked? They're like, no, girl, you're going through menopause. Half the time they're like, no, it's actually, you just have a headache. like there's nothing. Yeah. You're making up a scenario as to why your body hurts, but you're in a third density world. Your body's going to hurt sometimes. Like, that's just, don't make a mountain out of a molehill. You know, you don't have to be dramatic about every pain. And so basically what we're doing, we're going to get to the abundance in a minute, is we want to continue to work on that Kundalini in this life. We want to wake it up. We want to get our chakras ready. But what we're doing is we're getting it ready for the next existence, for the next density, because it's not possible to have that enlightenment in third density. That's not what third density is for. Right. So that's, and
I actually like hearing that, because that really just takes a lot of pressure off. Yeah. Because it's like, so many of us just really want to reach enlightenment, and it's like, well, when you realize that that's not actually physically possible in the third dimension, it's just like, okay, I can just be a human. I can make mistakes and I can learn, and that's all good. It's okay.
It's like asking a first grader to do brain surgery.
Wow. Yeah.
We're not ready for that. But what we can do is we can learn, you know, I guess first graders will not doing much science, but you can learn like the basics of like biology. Yeah. Like you're prepping yourself. Your chakras do absolutely serve a purpose here. They're giving you lessons, but then the Kundalini will start to the elixir will start to kind of move in Sushumna. So that's like a lot of inversions are dripping the elixir of Kundalini, but it's not going to be a full blown awakening, because your body is not designed for that in this world.
Well, it sounds pretty intense anyway, yeah. So I'm not sure.
And that's why when they say to graduate to fourth density positive, you only have to be 51% service to others, because it's not possible in this world to be 100% service to others. You are in a polarized planet. And so we're using, our souls know this. Our souls know that we're using the friction of their density to eventually get, it's like we're learning how to run the 5K so that we can eventually run the marathon. And that's so it's important to work on this, but understanding that you are still supposed to be a human being. Like the practice of yoga is a practice definitely for third density, right? Because it's about polarity. Yeah. And so when a lot of people say they've had a Kundalini, I just go, oh, that's great. I don't believe anybody who's I don't believe it. Like, I'm sorry, I don't believe it. Yeah. So anyway, but there's some things I want to read. So this is a book called Yoga Makaranda, The Nectar of Yoga. It was the first book ever written by Krishnamacharya. Now, who is Krishnamacharya? He is the grandfather of modern day yoga. He died in 1989. He was born in 1888. He lived to be 101. He basically brought yoga out of obscurity as an esoteric practice in India and brought it to modern society. My teacher's teacher my boyfriend's teacher was a student of Krishnamacharya, and his lineages are the only traditional lineages left. And so we have a lot of his teachings. I've gone through a lot of his teachings up on the Esoteric Academy. So anyway, so I wanted to say some things that are very, very interesting. So he writes asana and pranayama. So asana would be like exercise. Pranayama is breathing, are meant to evolve the soul to come out of hiding let me start over again. Asana and pranayama are meant to evolve the soul to come out of the hidden abode, to travel into its frontier, wholly and totally mingling with each and every cell. So that's him saying exercise is for the soul. You have to exercise to awaken the soul and have it actually be able to move, that vital life force be able to move through the body and mingle with every single DNA cell. If there's stuck energy, it can't get around it. We have to move it. And that's done through sweat, through hard work. He also says something that the Cassiopeians say all the time: knowledge is infinite. It has a beginning, but has no end. Right? We're never done learning. So why did I mark this page? I I don't know why I marked this page. So let's, oh, here we go. No, that's not, I don't know why I marked this page, you guys. Mercury retrograde. All right, so let's get into the chakras. So we know about the 7, I'm going to talk about the chakras in the body. We know about the 7 chakras in the body, but there are 3 chakras in the body that we're not taught. But Krishmacharya is going to tell you that there are 10 chakras in your body. Mostly, guess where most of them are? Your belly.
Ah, okay.
So we know the 3 at the root, at the middle of the navel, and at the solar plex area. So there is, make sure I'm saying this right. So we have the 3. I'm going to skip those 3. So then we have the Surya chakra, or the chakra of Agni, of fire. And that's near the 2nd chakra. It lies 3 inches above the navel. We also have the Manas chakra, that's in the stomach. So we've got 2, so that's 1, 2, 3, that's 5 in the belly. Let me make sure I've got this right. We have Anahata, and then there's 2 in the throat. So there's 5 in the belly, 2 in the throat. So 1 is like here, and 1 is like up in here.
Interesting.
In this region.
Yeah.
So now this is, I'm having to double check, guys, because we're not taught about these 3 extra ones, the 2 extras in the belly and the 1 extra in the throat.
Yeah.
It makes sense because the vagus nerve.
Oh, interesting.
And like I was on a Sunday, we had a kind of a pop-up ashtanga. We just did the sun salutations because I wanted to really break them down. We talked a lot about Jalandhara Bandha, which we're going to get to the bandhas in a minute, but Jalandhara Bandha is tucking your chin in. So that's done a lot in, like, you see it a lot in the breathing exercises. And when you tuck your chin in, what happens, so when I'm up, I've got a curve in my neck, which is my spine, but when I tuck my chin in, there's an opening in the back of the neck that pulls the energy up the back of the neck. Now, in traditional sun salutations, there's a drishti. So the eyes are the tops of the spine. So where the eyes go is where the energy goes. So when you're in upward facing dog, so many people make the mistake of looking in their eyes into their skull. The drishti is the nose. So you look at your nose as you're going back, because that's releasing again through the back that then connects. So when I read that, I was like, oh my God, that's everything we do with the drishti is also releasing in here. And then when we tuck under for down dog, so you're coming up for up dog, you're dropping your head way back, looking at your nose. And then when you're coming into down dog, the traditional down dog, not the vinyasa flow bullshit down dog, the traditional down dog, you're tucking your chin way in, curving your spine and looking towards your navel. So it's an exercise of this. Yep. And so that's exercising that vagus nerve. It's also obviously got a lot to do with this little mysterious chakra that we have up in here. That's not ever talked about.
Isn't that interesting? And I wonder if that helps with stress release a bit.
Absolutely.
As well.
That's why a lot of trauma patients in hospitals, they let them smoke.
Yes. Yeah.
You want to know something that's kind of funny, guys? The Lizzies apparently don't like tobacco. So people who smoke are really never messed with.
Well, do you know what's interesting? I remember watching, was it maybe a year ago? There was a really fascinating interview. Oh, where was it again? I was trying to remember whose channel it was on. But basically it was about tobacco and how this doctor basically believes that helped with the, you know what?
Yeah, it does. The Cassiopeians talk about it too. Yeah.
Wow, so they talk about it too. Yeah, because this guy is like, he's literally like him and his wife, they put nicotine patches on. Every single day because of the nicotine actually helps with that. But they buy like the most purest nicotine patches they can buy.
Tobacco therapy is done in India. That's a practice done in India. And my boyfriend will do it sometimes. He doesn't buy like cigarettes, but he rolls his own and does tobacco therapy.
And shamans do rituals with it as well.
But they blow tobacco is to keep the lizzies away. Yeah. So how interesting.
Wow.
So there's been a war against tobacco.
I know. Isn't that interesting? And do you know what? I remember, so this doctor guy that did this interview, I'll have to find it because that was just brilliant. But he basically said that when they first invented cigarettes, that there was nothing addictive in them because nicotine's not actually addictive.
Yeah, it's just like the way they make the cigarette today that's toxic. It's not the actual tobacco product.
It's not. No, but apparently our body is full of nicotine receptors. Apparently there's nicotine in vegetables like cauliflower. And that's why our body actually has nicotine receptors so that we can absorb the nicotine. It's actually good for us. This just blew me away. But basically what they did is they were doing trials on people and they were just not getting addicted to the cigarettes. So they're like, okay, well, we've got to find something to put into them to make them addictive. And so that's what they did. They started adding all this other rubbish into them to make them addictive, but then they're just blaming it all on nicotine.
Yeah. No,
that's not actually the addictive part.
And that's even...
And that's what can actually help you.
Right.
With the whole thing.
Yeah. And light therapy. There are even tanning beds. They have this whole thing about tanning beds are bad for you, Have you guys looked into this? It's light therapy. They actually cure cancer. Allegedly.
Oh, no way.
Not for entertainment. Okay, YouTube, for entertainment,
yes, entertainment purposes only.
There's a conspiracy that it actually cures cancer.
Wow. And because red light therapy is amazing as well.
Yeah. So that's one thing. If we ever came into some money, I would probably get one for our house because your body needs it. It's light therapy. It's light therapy. I learned this from a guy who owns a tanning bed place here in Atlanta who is super awake and aware. And he was telling me he, as an owner, is not allowed to say that because he'd get arrested for telling people the truth.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
No way.
So everything is literally flipped. It's all flipped. So, and that's interesting. Speaking of light therapy, did you notice that in the lower region of the 5 chakras, 3 of them have to do with fire?
Ooh.
The 2 extra ones, the Surya one and the Manas one, are all Agni, fire related, and Manipura is a solar plex, solar sun energy pack.
Yes.
So that's the fire at the belly. What does fire do? It rises. Heat rises.
That's very interesting.
It's important to do core work to have a strong core.
So that it can then rise and then help with your higher ones.
Hold up. But then, of course, if you're a souled person, you have a soul, you have your upper chakras. An organic person doesn't. So if you have a strong anchor in your core, it's going to keep your energy in you without it being sucked out. And they talk about that. I can't remember which one they talked about it. I think it's actually in our new course. Because when we shift into that, we also look at the bandhas. Now, Paula, before this, I find that a lot of people have never even heard of the bandhas. They're doing all this chakra work, but they've never heard of bandhas.
No, in all of the books that I've read about with the chakras, I've never heard of them until you started talking about them.
And the bandhas cannot live and exist without the chakras. The chakras cannot live and exist without the bandhas.
Right.
The bandhas can exist without the chakras. Chakras can't exist without the bandhas.
That's interesting.
How interesting is it? So let's talk about why this is important with energy. The bandhas are what keep the energy in your body. So they talk about this in this book. So if you feel really depleted one day or you're sick, it's because your prana has been pulled out of your body.
Right.
By something else. What happens when you lose too much life force? It's game over.
Yeah. And I noticed that because energy levels fatigue is something that I've struggled with my whole life. And then since I've been learning about the quantum, multidimensional quantum healing, so now when I feel really, really drained, I will go through and check my chakras, but I also check my aura. And quite often I will notice that there's a tear in my aura and I literally just have energy just being drained out of it. So then I just kind of visualize myself stitching it up and then clearing it out. But it's just so that's fascinating because the chakras are chakra means wheel, doesn't it, in Sanskrit? So they're spinning wheels of energy. But yeah, that's fascinating because energy could just flow anywhere, couldn't it?
Yeah.
So in order to keep it in the physical body, so that's what the bandhas do.
That's what the bandhas do. And that's what they, so the most important bandha to me, now he starts in this course with Jalandhara bandha that I just spoke about up in the throat. Yeah. To me, the most important bandha is Mula bandha. And I have a feeling he starts with Jalandhara bandha because it's the easiest one to teach. You just pull your chin in. Right, Mula bandha is more complicated. And that's, to me, that's the most important bandha because that's at the root of your perineum. That's what's really locking energy in. That's your anchor. And so I actually brought my little...
And that's the core work?
That's core work. That's also... when I have people, I've got a ball here. When I have people press into their big toe. So when you press, so if your guys are watching right now, even if you have shoes on, try to press into your big toe and see if you can feel an activation of energy going up the inner leg, your inner thigh, into your crotch, basically. That's the root of Mula bandha. So now the location of Mula bandha between men and women are going to be different. And the only time a woman's Mula bandha should be not fully intact is when they're giving birth. That's when the floodgates are going to literally open because that Mula bandha's got to open so the child can come out. All right. Yeah. And you're going to feel like when you're on your period, we do take ladies' holiday where we tell people to rest the first couple of days of their cycle, ladies to rest because your body is totally detoxing. But if you do exercise on your cycle, you'll feel a weakness in that area because it's supposed to be a little bit weaker. But I use an exercise ball and I tell people you don't have to use one, but we use this a lot on our courses because this is the best contraption to really wake up Mula bandha. So the inner thigh, squeezing of the inner thigh together is going to force, like a Kegel, it's going to force the pelvic floor to strengthen. The bandhas are part of the breath, but they're also being triggered by the actual body getting stronger. Okay, so like I'll move this. So what I have people do a lot, let's see if I have enough space here. I might have to move my chair. Is I have people in our classes put a ball or a block or a sorry guys, there's not a lot of space here. Or a towel or a pillow in between their legs. I'm gonna come up with my tiptoes. I come up with my tiptoes, press into my big toes, bend my knees, and then I start to squeeze, and that's pulling up. That's also forcing the core to pull in too. So it's pulling that energy up into the perineum. All right. It's like, did you guys have the Thigh Master in Australia?
Yeah, we did. As soon as you started talking about that, that's my immediate thought of, oh yeah, the Thigh Master.
Thigh Master. So for everybody around the world, go check your mama's basement or under your mama's
there's probably
bed.
one in there.
There's probably one in there. Pull it out because that's a Mula bandha. That's a Mula bandha master, right? And so, and that's what things like dancers. When a dancer leaps across the stage and total controlled and lands quietly, it's because they have Mula bandha. So you get Mula bandha. One of my teachers, David Greek, used to watch American football players and these big guys in slow motion. They would get up on their feet and move very agile for how big they were. And he would watch them because what they were doing was having bandha control to be able to do that. Right? So there's a lot of bandha work in sports as well. They don't call it that, but that's what it is. And in dance. Right. And so that the bandhas, and then you have Uddiyana bandha, which is around that area of those two extra chakras in the middle chakra that's pulling the belly button back and up. So we're pulling Mula in, pulling Uddiyana bandha in, and Uddiyana bandha is connected to the arch of your foot. So if you press into your big toe and pull up the arch of the foot, that's going to start to activate into the core, which is pulling that Agni, that fire, up into the body, which is also locking in your energy. So when you're locked in your energy, no one can feed off of you because the door's locked. Right. The door is locked.
So this is just so important.
So important, like life or death important. And the fact that they have slow clap to the Aluma Shmati for doing it because they've done it so brilliantly. We even see it from people who are awake. They get my comment section. Well, blah, 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 blah. Why are you triggered by me saying that exercise is the foundation of spirituality? Why are you triggered by that? Because it's uncomfortable? Because you don't want to get uncomfortable? And you like living in your delusions? You want to be in the world of imagination and disassociation? You'd rather be there pretending you're enlightened than actually get down
They
and
actually
do the work.
Yeah, face your shadows. Because
Yeah.
how can you be a clear energy vessel to heal others if you haven't done the work on yourself? And I mean, look, I mean, it's never ending. There's always going to be
it's
more
never ending. Yeah.
layers to uncover.
Hello, Editing Bryce here. Just wanted to take a moment. I had to cut some of the footage because I had a little bit of an issue with my nose. I had an allergic reaction to a new nose ring, and so I had to cut some editing out because I had some issues with it. And so just wanted to let you guys know that is why there is a jump in the footage. Well, as a healer, so let's say as a healer,
Yes.
you have a client come in that's like a total energy drain on you.
Mm-hmm.
How are you going to work with that client and maintain your energy to help them find theirs if your bandhas aren't engaged?
Yeah, it's just so important,
Life-saving.
isn't it? And we're just not taught this. It's just not common knowledge.
You're taught in India, but think about what the Cabal did. They opened up the Yoga Alliance.
Yeah. And well, you know, I believe that they have made certain countries third world countries for a reason. You know, that's not an accident.
No, I know. And that's why, like, my teacher, like with Ashtanga, like with any type of traditional yoga, in Ashtanga or any lineage-based yoga, you go and you live there for years.
Mm-hmm.
For you're authorized. But the Yoga Alliance is going to do these 200-hour teacher trainings. And so 99% of the teachers out there don't even know what the fuck they're doing. They haven't been taught this.
You're just not learning all the cultural things as well, and the tradition, and you're not learning the Sanskrit like you learned. I mean, there's so much to it, isn't there?
If you have not been practicing yoga consistently for 10 years, you have no business teaching. I'm just going to be straight up, but you should not be teaching because you can't learn. I mean, really, it should be more like 20 years, but we don't have that kind of time on planet Earth. But in traditional yoga, you are a student for at least 10 years before you even think about going to India or assisting in a Mysore room, because there's so much to learn. There's so much nuance to learn. But I think, again, what it comes down to, Paula, even with Vinyasa Flow, because Vinyasa Flow teachers are creating their own practices, they're not following any templates. And a lot of Vinyasa Flow teachers don't understand pranic pose, aponic pose, neutral pose, which we go through in this course. What is triggering the inhale, which is pranic? What is triggering the exhale, which is aponic? And what is neutralizing the body, which they get into the gunas, the chains of energy, which is either tamas, rajak, or sattvic. Sattva, guna is sattvic, is balance. So tamas is super lethargy. Rajas is super fire. Sattvic is finding that neutral balance. Most yoga teachers don't know this.
No, and well, just workouts in general. That's why I love your workouts so much, because at the end of it, I always feel so good because, you know, you feel like you've finished, you've completed the cycle, not kind of left being open, and energy is just kind of being flowing out without you don't want to lose that. You want it to be, you
want to be calm. So that's that at the end of the workout, that's that sattvic feeling of having energy, but also maintaining some calmness as well. Yeah. Because you've balanced, you've gone through and worked on that. And that's something that a lot of yoga teachers are taught. And what happens is when they're creating their own practices, in some senses they don't know, is they'll only create fun stuff. They won't put in the hard stuff too. Because they're playing on the ego, right? The ego wants to feel good. Look at me, look how great I am. But the ego isn't really a part of the yoga practice. We have to actually do the work. And so that's why, I mean, of course, in saying that, there are some really good teachers out there that have done the work that do Vinyasa Flow, but they're few and far between. They are few and far between. And a lot of, I kind of think of it as like a pyramid scheme, because a lot of studios can't survive financially unless they run teacher training courses, because they charge people a lot. And so they do it just to be able to survive. So they're turning out all these yoga teachers who don't have a clue what they're doing, you know, and then that of course affects people who are traditional yoga teachers, because we get the backlash of, I'll tell you a really funny story. This was years ago. This is before I was on YouTube. So in a traditional yoga, we have an Ashtanga, we have Mysore class. And you go in, we're open from like 5 in the morning to like 8 in the morning. And you go in at any point during that time and you work one-on-one with a teacher. That's traditional yoga. It's not a lead class. It's one-on-one with your teacher. But you come in and you have to work on the practice that's been given to you. You can't do whatever you want. Like, you have to do it. If you take a posture without the teacher giving to you, that's considered stealing. You've stolen something. No different from stealing candy from a shop, right? You haven't been given that yet. And so one morning, it's back when I was teaching Mysore up in Johns Creek, and I was driving down, and Todd called me, and he was like, oh my God, I had the worst experience. I said, what happened? He was like, this woman came in, and usually when a new student comes in, Todd or a teacher will greet, hi, are you familiar with Ashtanga? If they're not, we get an assistant to come work with them and kind of show them the ropes. This woman came in, and Todd was like, oh, are you familiar? And she's like, yes, yes, yes. Throws her mat down and starts doing a vinyasa flow practice. And Todd comes over and stops her and said, this is an Ashtanga shala. You can't do this. No, I was told. She's like, she argued with him. She's like, I was told this is like an open practice. I was like, he was like, yeah, it is. You come in when you want, but you have to do the practice that's been assigned to you through the Ashtanga system, not vinyasa flow. Kept arguing through her mat. She was like, do you know who I am? She thought she was one of the big famous vinyasa flow teachers in Atlanta. It was crazy. And Todd looked at her and she goes, do you know who I am? I'm the only teacher in the Southeast that was a student of Pattabhi Jois. I brought yoga. He brought yoga to the Southeast. So that vinyasa flow often carries with it this narcissism and entitlement, because the practice of vinyasa flow is created by the teacher, and the teacher typically picks what makes the teacher look good and what they're really good at doing, which creates disharmony in the psyche. And so that's why vinyasa flow, in a lot of ways, is a very dangerous practice. It's not a practice that comes out of India. Not a practice that comes out of the United States. And so it's like Kundalini yoga. Kundalini yoga is bullshit. They've just done a huge documentary, thank God, on Netflix about Yogi Bhajan. I've known Yogi Bhajan was a fraud for years now. I'm so glad that they're finally releasing He was a 3-letter agency infiltrator.
Yeah.
Coming into the United States in the 70s, when all these people were rejecting mainstream religion and looking for Eastern philosophy, they put this sucker in to fool people.
Wow.
Claiming that he was teaching a lineage-based yoga. He wasn't. None of what he taught is based in Kundalini yoga. They do a lot of pranayama, but it's not really pranayama. It's not real. It's hyperventilation. They have you hyperventilate and then tell you that's a spiritual experience. As the C's would say, the Cassiopeans, no, you just hyperventilated. That's all that happened. Kundalini people in their little turbans. First of all, why are you wearing a turban in a yoga practice?
Yeah, that would be a bit awkward and hot, because you need the heat to release out of your head.
And I'm going to tell you too, if you go to a yoga class and they force you to wear a particular color or particular clothes, that's a cult. In Kundalini, they have to wear all white. That's a cult. We don't have any type of dress code. I mean,
your teacher just wore boxer shorts?
Yeah, I mean, I know, right? Have I told that story before about Pattabhi Jois and the Calvin Klein underwear? Yeah. He didn't know they were underwear. He thought they were yoga pants. But we want you to wear tighter clothes because that helps us adjust you so we don't get fumbled in your clothes for safety purposes. We prefer you take your rings off, your wedding rings, because that can actually cut you and cut the teacher. But we're not going to force you to wear, I have a student that shows up in jeans I don't know how he's doing it, but he wears jeans. I don't like how he does it, but he does it.
Wow.
But there's no, so you have to be aware of these things with spirituality too, and look at the resumes. And yeah, so anyway, I don't know. Is there anything you want to say about that, Paula? And sorry about my nose, guys. I know it's distracting, but
I just feel bad for you, you poor thing.
It is what it is. I'm glad I got the nose ring out. Let's just put it that way.
Yes, must have been such a relief. Oh my goodness. But yeah, no, I just think this is so important and just so fascinating to understand all of this. It's just crazy. And I love that, so we just really need to work on our core strength. And I don't really regret anything in my life, but because it's all learning and what knowledge you have now. But I do think in hindsight, if I had a stronger core, I do sometimes wonder if that would have helped with giving birth, because you need to be strong to push a baby out, basically. And having good core strength is really, would be really, really helpful in doing that. But yeah, I'm not having any more kids, so I don't need to worry about that. But
you're good. It's all yours now. You don't have to share it with anybody.
Yeah, that's right.
We talked about it on our last class. You know, a lot of people get confused with forward folding. They think forward folding is your hamstrings. It's got nothing to do with your hamstrings.
And I have thought that for the longest time, because that's one of my biggest challenges is doing the forward folding. But it's actually really painful for me. Like my hamstrings, it's really painful. But yeah, when we did our live class, I mean, I don't mind sharing that when I was doing the forward folding, and then you were talking about it's about your stomach area, about your core strength, and then you were going through some things that could be reasons why it's tight. And then when you mentioned about delivery, and then boom, it just hit me. I just started crying. I just started bawling my eyes out, and I was like, oh my God. And then it just hit me. I was like, oh my God, I wish that my mum was there when I gave birth for the first time with my first daughter. And I was like, wow, there's a big abandonment issue, because I've done a lot of healing work with my mum over the years, especially with my kinesiologist, with a counsellor, done a lot of journal writing. I've done a lot of work on my mum. And so I thought, yeah, I'm pretty good with that. And so it was a bit of a shock to the system when that came up, because I was like, okay, wow, I did not know. But that just goes to show how our body, like the body keeps the score. It really does. Our body really holds memories and trauma, and it holds emotions. And this is why we got to exercise, so we can help release it, help move it, help shift it.
The mind will trick you. It tricks us all the time. Like, it tricks me all the time. I think I've worked on something, and then something triggers again, and it's like, nope, you only scratched the surface. So with forward folding, guys, a lot of people are confused and think it's about your hamstrings. It's got nothing to do with your hamstrings. It's about your stomach. That's what forward folding is for. And so a lot of times people will hunch to fold, but actually pulling the belly in and allowing the belly to fold up. And once you start to correct that, you'll actually fold deeper. And actually any pain you have in your hamstrings will also start to release as well, because there's blood flow coming into the appropriate place. And this is important, because when you start to actually set these postures up properly, immediate reaction in the body for the positive, where you released, immediately released.
Yeah.
And that's what we want.
So it's just really energy. Focusing on bringing that stomach in, bringing that core
pulling it in, and then folding. Like, have you ever been to a yoga class where they tell you to belly breathe?
No.
Here in the United States, don't belly breathe in a yoga. You guys, like, do not do that in a yoga class. Like, you're gonna pop your freaking vertebrae if you do that. You're gonna dislocate. Like, that is, belly breathing is not for physical exercise.
Okay.
The breath work for physical exercise is like a runner's breath, because you're contracting your stomach. You cannot have Uddiyana Bandha engaged if you are not pulling that stomach in. So if you are belly breathing, your bandhas are not activated. And then you're trying to do movement, you're going to
I've only done it in like a breath work meditation. I've done the belly breathing, but
it's for seated breath work. That's what belly breathing is for. When you're seated and you're focused on that particular area. But when you're in a yoga posture, or you're running, or you're doing anything, and you're belly breathing, you're going to herniate a disc.
Wow. Yeah.
That's not what you're supposed to do. So the body's going to respond if you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. And it's okay. Injury happens sometimes, and that's how we learn. But that's why it's so important to have a huge discernment. Actually, the Cassiopeians even talk about this with Reiki. I think it was from a couple of days ago I read. And they said that, like this, they were talking about their Reiki, and they were saying, because Laura is Reiki trained, but she had gone to somebody whose Reiki is bullshit, and it nullified her Reiki.
Oh, wow.
Which of course it would, right? Because that's how karma plays. It can't. If you got one real Reiki person, one fake Reiki person doing Reiki on the real Reiki person, it's gonna water down the actual real stuff. So that's why this is important to you guys. It's like we hear,
you gotta know who you're
be
training.
Nice, try it. Everyone should get a chance. No. Would you let somebody cut you open and do heart surgery if they hadn't had proper training?
No, I would not want to do that.
So why are you going to let people do yoga surgery on you who haven't had proper training?
And because that's just as dangerous, because you're working with a lot of different energies and you're opening yourself up like a portal to stuff.
Yeah.
So it's got to be closed back down again.
So even if you've had all this work and you go to somebody who doesn't know what they're doing, even if they think they are, it's going to mess with your energetic field.
Yeah.
Knowledge is power. Knowledge protects. Knowledge is infinite. Look at people's resumes. Look at their resumes. Who are they accountable to?
Yeah.
Who trained them? Super, super important. But I think we're in that, again, we're at that point where we think that just because somebody did a 200 hour, then they can, no. I mean, that's crazy to me. 200 hours? Like, no, you know nothing in 200 hours. Like, you have to go 10 years. Like, this is, it's crazy to me. So anyway, but I can go on with that forever. But I do think that was intentional by the Illumishmati to do it that way. I do think that was very much intentional.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
definitely.
So,
but yeah, just back to the chakras, because so your book shared the 3 chakras. So there was 2 extra ones in the belly area and then the one up in the throat. Yeah. Or was it 2 in the throat?
One here. No. So the one we know, the regular one we know is here.
Yes. And then the one up there. Yeah. And then there was 2 extras in the belly. So this book that I've got, because I'm such an angel fan, this is Lessons from the 12 Archangels, which is by Belinda J. Womack, and she discusses 10 chakras as well. So that's why when Bryce mentioned about her book discussing 10 chakras, I was like, oh, it'd be interesting just to compare notes to see which ones. So they talk about the main ones as well. But so the extra one she talks about is the will chakra, which is located in and around the throat. Is that the right one, I think? Solar plexus, soul, white fire. Or is that, no, maybe that is throat chakra. I'm trying to work out which ones are the different ones. Oh, what have I done? Sorry, I'm just brought something up on my computer. So, hold on, I think I might be reading the wrong one. So there's the turquoise, the extra one she talks about is the turquoise flame or light. So that one is a combination of the heart and the will chakra. So that's okay. So I think when she's talking about the will chakra, they're actually talking about the throat chakra. Yeah. Which is home to Archangel Michael's flame of truth, courage, awareness, and justice. And then, the extra one she talks about is the turquoise flame or light, which is the combination of the heart chakra and the throat chakras together. And it's any shade of turquoise or aqua with gold sparkles. And the angel power of turquoise flame supports dreaming and manifestation of hopes and dreams. And then the other one that she talks about is the white fire, which originates outside of the human vessel in your oversoul. And to use this angel power, use your intention and ask us to put what you desire to protect in a white fire diamond. So we call this angel fire of protection and purification. That's interesting. So I was mistaken. I thought she talked about 10, but she actually only talked, there was 9. Sorry. So that was my mistake. But yeah, that's interesting. So she talks about one between the heart and the throat and then one up here.
And the one here in the forehead, I just noticed that he calls it a different than what we're typically call it. He calls it Brahma Guha Chakra, Brahma Guha. Brahma is God. So we usually don't call it that. We call it something else, but I'm going to use his terminology because it's crazy. It's how much corruption has been added into this stuff to confuse us about what this really is.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so many people do it not even knowing that they're giving false information out. And so, Yeah,
I mean, because, you do your research and you think that you are getting information. I mean, me too. Like, I think I'm getting information from people that are legitimate people. And then you don't know if they've gotten it from the wrong person. So it's all just learning, isn't it? It's just, you've just got to keep learning this stuff and then just course correct when you get something wrong, because I mean, we're all just doing the best we can.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, if you're still confused, just get into your body. Just get into your body. Just get into your body, get into your body, get into your body. Because they're there regardless of whether you're sure where they are or not. You know, at one point when you were a kid, you didn't know where your kidneys were, but they still worked for you. Right? So just get in your body, get in your body, get in your body, get in your body. Now, Paula, I'm going to title this part 1, and I'm going to put part 2 over on RUMBLE.
Yeah.
I know you have part 2. It's going to be course class 7 that we're going to let you guys watch for free from this new course. And this is over the bandhas, because it goes into the practicality of the bandhas. And I felt like that this could really help our audience, like, see actual exercises to get people into this. If you want the full course class though, join us on the Esoteric Academy. And I'm going to send it to Paula, or Paula's already got it because I send her, bless her heart, I always send her a text. I'm like, incoming. And have a coming towards you with videos. Oh, sorry about that. She wakes up with a whole stream of like videos in her inbox to be posted up on our academy. And that's one thing we do with these courses, guys. You know, when I go through stuff on YouTube, I'll do it weekly. But when I do put something up on our academy, I put the whole thing up so that you as the student can go through it as fast or as slow as you want to. You don't have to wait for any material. And you know, so we have Paula, we have two paid, we have one free tier, which we can put course class 7 up on the free tier as well for people. That's where a lot of our shadow ban videos are, a lot of the videos that are very scandalous, because I know RUMBLE is having a hard time right now for some people. So if that's a problem, just go to our academy page for tier 1. But we have tier 2, which is $25 a month, which you get access to all the exercise classes and the live exercise classes. And then tier 3, which is, I think, the best value, you only pay an extra $15, $40 for thousands of dollars worth of courses, meditations, exercise videos, live calls with Paula and me. Is there anything you want to add, Paula, to that?
Just lots of great content. You can talk to us anytime you want in the community, get to know the other members, and
and we're going to be starting, now that I finished that course up, we are actually going to be starting a Cassiopean Law of One course on the Academy, where we're going to go through some of the wave series. I know on Saturday, Paula is going to be filming with Todd, where a bunch of our students sent a lot of questions about the Law of One, and he's going to answer them. And so we're going to start to get into that more in depth on the Esoteric Academy. I'm going to continue reading from the Cassiopeia experiments transcripts here on YouTube. So you're going to have that on YouTube. But like our more in-depth conversations are going to be over on the Esoteric Academy. And that's for a lot of reasons, guys. I said in my last video, putting the Cassiopeian stuff out is very dangerous. It can cause a lot of pushback spiritually. And when we do, so if we go into deeper conversation, it's going to be easier for us and safer for us to do it on a private platform. But we're still going to go through the Cassiopeian experiment here on YouTube. But you also get 7 days of a free trial as well. So
and no obligation free, you know, you can just give it a go. And we always send out a reminder email as well. It's just an automatic email that gets sent to you just before you'll get charged. So then if you don't want to go ahead, then you just cancel it. It's you know,
absolutely. And we've got some exciting stuff coming up. I know we're talking about doing an affiliate program as well. We also have like karma programs. So if you want to do the academy, but money is hard for you, just reach out. We can have you work for the academy, do some work to help regulate that too. So, you know, we're a small business, and I like being a small business because we get to be like family, and you know, we're not a corporation. So we could be a better service to you guys. And we have fun. It's my favorite. I love our students. We have fun.
Me too. They're such beautiful people. It's so lovely
too. They're lovely. They have a sense of humor. They take it seriously, and so it's fantastic to have such great people from all over the world on the academy. And that's and I thank you, Paula, for bringing this to me, because and that's why we can do the prices so cheap, right? Because we have unlimited seating. You know, in Shala's, we have to up the prices because there's limited seating to offset the cost of the work, and so
that's right.
We can put the prices cheaper and have more people join. To be able to share this information with everybody, because there's a lot of junk conspiracy out there. There's a lot of Lizzies out there messing with the awakened world to get you back asleep. And so we want to be able to give you, a teacher's job is to eventually not be needed, give you the sovereignty and the autonomy to do this yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
So is there anything you want to add, Paula, before we
No, like, well, I am working on, actually, yeah, I do have some exciting news. I finally figured out, been meaning to figure this out for a few months now, is how to add binaural beats to my hypnosis tracks and my meditations, because that just takes your healing just to another level. And especially if you listen with earphones on, it's working on, so binaural beats kind of do one tone in one ear and one tone in the other. And so when they kind of work together, they're just really working on your brain in a different and much more deeper level, and different tones have different effects. So some are really good for healing, some are really good for abundance, some are really good for, there's different angel frequency tones. There's just so many different things that can be used for different issues that need to be resolved. So the next hypnosis track that I'm going to be putting up is going to be healing your inner child, because I'm very passionate about inner child work. And I will be including the binaural beats into that, so that can just even, just make it even more powerful to help people with their healing process. So so that'll be on the Academy soon. And we just keep adding more content all the time. So it's amazing.
So
it's growing.
It's so fun.
Yeah. It is. We love it. We really, really enjoy it.
We do. We've got some dudes on there now. It's great. Shout out.
I know, it is great.
It's so funny. In traditional yoga, it's mostly men. Like when you go to as a woman, it's mostly men, straight men, and they're pretty good looking ladies. So if that inspires you to try to start practicing traditional yoga, they're kind of hot. And
I got good bodies.
Yeah, they have great bodies. Trust me, the yoga body. I love a man who has I love arms on men, bicep arms,
and the chest, chest area.
But I don't like it to be too big. No, I want it to be like
just toned and nice, but bigger. I like a man that's just a bit bigger than me, so then I feel like a feminine.
Yeah, exactly. I like my boyfriend's body is very toned, and he's covered in tattoos, which most Ashtanga people are. That's not, if you like the alternative type of people, they all got their PhDs in philosophy, and they're covered in tattoos, and they're hot. They're all a lot older than they actually look. They actually look like, our students can't believe my boyfriend is 52. They think he's in his late 30s, early 40s, and he's 52. But it's just because he's practicing for most of his life. And so he's it's a very, so if that gets you, whatever gets you on the mat gets you on the mat.
Yeah. That's right.
So if hot, sweaty, sexy men get you on the mat, that's what gets you.
Then that works, then do it.
That works. And they're very intelligent, these guys. They're very sensitive. They think about things. So nonetheless, we kid, but we have great people on our academy. And so we're just joking about that stuff, guys. But and we're going to have male teachers too. Todd's going to be doing synthetic chanting. Speaking of, I'm glad you're doing the sound stuff, because sound therapy is one of the parts, vibrational therapy, of Ayurvedic healing. We're going to get more into Ayurveda. I'm going to do on the academics of spirituality. We're going to do a video on ghee, the importance of ghee.
Yes, awesome.
And what that means, and that's kind of the basis of Ayurveda too, and why ghee is so important, all that kind of stuff. So we have, and that's kind of our academics of spirituality. That's kind of a playlist of miscellaneous kind of spiritual terms and stuff that we can kind of put there for people to look at when they want to. And so, it's fun, you guys. And I can't wait. Mm-hmm. It's only, upwards. We're just going to keep getting better and better and better and better. And so we thank you guys for joining us and giving us an opportunity to serve you at the best of our capacity. Because at the end of the day, any type of healing arts is a service-based industry, so we're glad to be able to serve you. And our people, they're just cool, man. Our students are cool, and they're
they are lovely,
they're cool, and they're just they're just cool people. And so it's fun to hang out with them. So you guys, but anyway, follow the link below to part 2. It'll be both on the RUMBLE platform and
the Esoteric Academy website. Yeah.
So it'll be both there, and you can watch. That's our gift to you. I feel like this is the class that really will help people take their power back. And so we'd love to have you on the Academy for the rest of the classes. And make sure to subscribe to Paula's YouTube channel. Mercury
and my Rumble's growing too. So thanks everyone that watched the last video.
Everybody needs to be on both of our platforms because we just don't even know. We just don't even know what's going to happen tomorrow. We're having fun right now. This roller coaster ride, the JFK files were just released. Nothing super shocking there. We know Mr. B was a traitor. We've known that. But actually, guys, I'm going to be releasing some readings on the from the Cassiopeians about JFK soon. So,
ooh, I'm looking forward to listening to that.
like, oh, this is interesting. So, all right, you guys. Well, we hope you're having a wonderful day, and we will see you all very soon. Bye, everybody.
Bye.